Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and for anybody that just wants a TLDR, this video involves and is sponsored by something known as common sense, okay? I know this is I know common sense ain't so common these days, but I just wanted to bring it up because that's really what this kind of video is about. Now, the FBI is an organization that I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of, okay? Not just the FBI, pretty much any federal agency, any law enforcement agency. And one thing that I always get annoyed with every day is seeing this stuff clog up my actual news feeds. FBI warns Chrome, Safari, and Edge users. Oh my God, I use a Chrome-based browser. I gotta watch out. Do not use these websites. And then you start to go down a little bit. You know, you see the FBI badge. Ooh, following hot on the heels of the FBI to delete fraudulent texts. Here comes another alert as a very different kind of threat has emerged. Oh man, they're making it sound spooky. So obviously, this is a kind of a Forbes, almost a clickbaity article. I decided, I'm just going to go right to what the FBI is saying. And somehow the FBI, I feel like there's somebody that works at this organization. Their whole job is to basically make a common sense post every day. Warns of an online file converter scam. Well, that's scary. Ooh, they're warning that agents are increasingly seeing a scam involving free online document converter tools. It's scary, dude. The best way to thwart these fraudsters is to educate people so they don't fall victim in the first place. You know what? I got a large platform. I'm going to be the educator. I'm going to tell you to have common sense. Now, what is to conduct this scheme? Cyber criminals across the globe are using any type of free document converter or downloader tool. This might be a website claiming to convert one type of file to another, such as a doc to a PDF file. I don't know why I'm thinking of Twitch TV all of a sudden. It might also claim to combine files, such as joining multiples into one. All right, so what do these spooky converters do? Well, they steal your PII, your social security numbers, your date of birth, your phone numbers, your banking information, your crypto info, your emails, and your passwords. So yeah, the FBI isn't joking around. Now this requires you to be absolutely absent-minded. But again, I'm not here to roast the average person, okay? I really don't think roasting people without educating is wrong. So some of the domains that I saw covered in the security write-ups involved some of these. Image converters, converted to RIMP3, convertitions-PDF. So yeah, there's a lot of different links. Now, I want to warn you watching, okay? When I investigate these on my video, I am a professional idiot, okay? I have a background in this kind of stuff. I know what I'm doing. Do not visit these links unless you know exactly what you're doing, okay? In fact, just don't even go there at all. So I'm going to pick one random, imageconverters.com, okay? And when I enter it in, whoa, I got sent to Asia's most sloppiest offline casino. Do you want these women? Do you want this cash? Do you want this poorly rendered supercar? Do you want these gold coins? Well, you better throw up in the casino where you're guaranteed to lose all of it. All right, so obviously I don't think I can be converting no images here. This seems like I'm losing money right here. All right, let's go to 9convert.com. Now, 9convert.com, if you just copy any URL, this URL is from like a Nick 930 video, the history of Rainbow Six. Absolutely great video. Check it out. You can just download it, converts, and in some cases, it actually fails. Now, one of the reasons why I suspect 9convert didn't do shit to my computer is because I have ad blocks enabled. Now, this is something that the FBI has constantly been advertising for quite a long time, okay? To give you an idea, this is a federal public service announcement back from 2022. So here they said the FBI is warning the public that cyber criminals are using search engine advertisement services to impersonate brands and direct users to malicious sites. So their actual tip to protect myself is before clicking on an advertisement, check if the URL to make sure the site is authentic. So if, for instance, they're telling you to go on to like, I don't know, OBS Studio or something like that, make sure it's not www offshore, canary scam download.com. Make sure it's actually legit. It's all of this is common sense. You don't need to watch this video in its entirety to know that having basic fucking common sense should be practiced, okay? But again, common sense isn't so common. I feel like I've made so many videos on topics like this to just educate people that it's almost like it's almost like a war of attrition, in a way. So they say use an ad blocking extension while performing internet searches. Most internet browsers allow a user to add extensions. Ad blocking is so required at this moment that a lot of browsers, I use Brave for instance, but there's plenty of other options. You can use like LibreFox or whatever, which have ad blocks built into the platform. And super powerful ad blocks where no advertisement that you want reaches your actual system. And that's kind of what I promote. Using the internet without ad block is probably the dumbest decision you can make. The way, antivirus software, people always kind of ask me, Muda, what antivirus software? I don't actually use any antivirus software. I only use Windows Defender if I'm using Windows at all, which rarely I don't. But I use ad blocks, and that's pretty much the one thing that keeps me safe. Ad block, a bit of common sense by not clicking every stupid link that you see and downloading a plugin or running a program you don't trust is effectively the only level of security that I really feel you honestly need. So yeah, the FBI was running this scam. And I feel like the FBI constantly makes these posts every other week to talk about it. But even beyond all of it, there have been some other attacks that have kind of kicked in. For instance, one of the wildest attacks that I saw was the FBI literally earlier this month was telling people about how snail mail ransomware was targeting US CEOs. So let's say you're a US CEO, okay? Kind of a hard position to put yourself in, I know. But to understand, a lot of American CEOs apparently were reporting that they received this letter from the Bianlian Group, okay? Now, the Bianlian Group, for anybody that doesn't know, this is an actual spooky fucking, organization. Spooky organization in the sense that, yes, this is a real hacker group, it seems. This is their dark web link, very publicly known. And of course, you can see that when it comes to companies that, are on their radar, they've got companies like the Legal Aid Society of Salt Lake, the Civic Community, they've got roofing companies, they've got Dash Business, they've got, Nippon Steel, USA, they've got it all. And these are fairly recent posts, as of just this year. And the further you go down into it, the more you realize that they've doxed actual presidents of the company, they've given their numbers out, they've got data volumes roughly tabulating up to 500 gigabytes in this situation. And of course, they've got exact samples for you to look through just to make sure that this is not all bullshit. So anyways, if you're an American person, right, you ended up getting this letter. Dear Redacted, I regret to inform you that we have gained access to redacted systems and over the past several weeks have exported thousands of data files, including customer order and contact information. Now, if you're a CEO, you're probably kind of shitting yourself, okay? You can imagine the fines and the issues that come with personal information getting leaked out probably isn't that good. But this turned out to not actually be the real Bianlian Group, okay? It was just somebody impersonating it. They sent a real letter to make it look like it was the real thing. They gave them a Bitcoin address where they wanted to be paid. And of course, it appears the payments that they wanted were tabulating up to $250,000 to $500,000 at the time. And of course, obviously, to scare the shit out of you, they'll tell you, don't go to the police or the FBI for help. They won't help you, and they will prohibit you from paying any ransom. The FBI and police don't care what losses you and your company suffer from being publicly leaked, and they won't protect you from lawsuits. We no longer negotiate with victims. You have 10 days from the receipt of this letter. It's like the movie The Ring, It's like you probably fucked up somewhere. You clicked on a link you shouldn't have. And then immediately, you have 7 days. You have 10 days. If I got this shit in the letter, I would probably use it to wipe my ass. But then again, I'm not the CEO of a company being hit by ransomware, so, I mean, everyone's different in this regard. Now, when it comes to advertisers, the thing about advertising and why ad block and why it's pushed so much by the Federal Bureau of Investigation is that alongside many of the largest platforms, you'll find some of the scummiest players. For instance, like last year on Spotify, there were like literal playlists like Sony Vegas Pro 13 crack. Go to this software. Get into PC. Yeah, get into a PC. Yeah, get into my PC, you know? And then, of course, there were other things like Fortnite V-Bucks generators, free Fortnite, legal, by the way. Now, obviously, I don't imagine anybody over the age of 10 to fall for this. And the reason I say 10 is because, you know, as somebody that was younger around that age, I was, in fact, susceptible to a scam. Some could say that this was like my moment, you know, the moment, my villain moment. Where the moment, like, you know, it happened was I wanted to get free Xbox Live codes. So I found a website where I was like, oh, free Xbox Live. Just put your password and email into this and we'll give you a year of Xbox Live. Now, as a young person, $60 to play online with your friends, that's a lot of money. It's the whole game right there. That's food. That's a bunch of other things. I went down the road of giving my password, my email, and I had that account stolen. And since that day, I vowed never to be scammed once again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I should be put into a fucking institution because I am that stupid. Now, speaking of actual malvertising, Microsoft decided to, break open the actual Pandora's box on a malvertising campaign that led to a host of info stealers. So are you somebody that watches illegal content on the internet? I'm not talking about like illegal, like the FBI is going to raid you for watching something very much against. I'm talking about pirated movies, right? Like pirated television shows. I'm sure a lot of you people have absolutely watched a pirated show at some point in your life, okay? It happens. I'm not going to judge you for it. I don't think anybody really cares, okay? In fact, I think most of the film and television industry is so scummy that even if you pirate something, I'm never going to like shame you or be against your side, okay? You know, I saw the other day that Disney Plus started putting ads in the ad like free tiers. Like I read something about that. Bro, the moment anyone does that, I don't care if you pirate them. But when you are watching anything on the internet, care and safety is all I care about. And it's what the FBI cares. It's what everyone cares about. So generally speaking, for those of you who don't know, one of the largest organizations got shut down. So this large piracy network, right? We're talking 22 million users, basically 100 homes that were raided across 10 countries, ended up actually having people served arrests. And there was like, you know, millions of dollars of cryptocurrencies, there were arrests, over 100 people into an investigation. And of course, law enforcement shut down one of the largest pirate networks available. Now, piracy is such a profitable endeavor for, again, the people perpetrating it that basically the way that they make money is through malvertising campaigns. So for instance, let's say you're on an illegal streaming site and you're watching the newest episode of something like Severance or whatever, or a movie, or, you know, you're watching like a live sport. I know tons of people that watch NBA games and shit like pirate sites just because they don't want to be paying the premium cost that it is for whatever service they're at, okay? Because it can be quite a fair bit, all right? So according to Microsoft, when it came to these illegal streaming websites, where again, the user was redirected to their own platform, GitHub, and two other platforms, one of them being Discord, and I don't remember exactly what the other one was, but basically what had happened over here was, generally speaking, these platforms were used as the vector for people to get their first actual malware. So anytime you use these pirate sites, you'll probably notice that, you know, unless you have an ad block installed, pausing a video usually comes with a billion pop-ups. And generally speaking, what they're trying to do is use malvertising, which is, you know, again, advertising with malicious intent to get people to go to GitHub and download software. Now, for instance, there's still software on GitHub right now as we're talking. Like, for instance, there's one where you can watch 500 live Indian TV channels. The reason I bring this up is if you're in like the South Asian community, a lot of people will buy these cheapo Android boxes with this kind of shit installed right in. And, you know, you never know if those Android boxes are completely, devoid of any form of malware. They're probably not. Some of these APKs, these programs could be loaded with, again, special malware that could be used to use your device in a botnet, possibly use you to do illegal activities with, and again, maybe to steal your personal information. It's really like when you're dealing with people who are already breaking the law, you can't expect them to not break the law even further, right? Is all I'm gonna say. So I'm highly against you downloading anything like this, installing it to any device and using it on your network. Just because A, it's not only a violation of, again, the terms of services for plenty of platforms, it's just you can't fucking trust these people. You can't trust software like this. So this is just like one example. And the thing is, it's literally sitting on the actual like storefront. Like it's actually sitting on GitHub. Microsoft could stop this, but there's plenty of stuff that's on GitHub that I feel like there's no moderation and they just let exist. So when it came to the attack chain, for instance, right? Let's say like this. Let's say that you go to these streaming websites, right? The Malvertising website redirects them to a GitHub repo. The payload is downloaded from that GitHub repository. The payload performs a system discovery, so it figures out what the computer is, collects all that system information, and figures out how to launch the stage 2 payloads, where more and more shit starts coming in. So they start using PowerShell scripts, programs, and eventually down the road, what will happen is you will finally launch, a malware that will allow remote debugging, exfiltration of data, and again, all of the nasty stuff you don't want on your system. And the thing is, you might be like, well, Muda, what if I'm not using illegal streaming websites, right? Well, I would say that you still relatively need ad block in any capacity, right? Ad block is just one of those things where I'll give you a good example. Let's say that you're on like youtube.com. You're probably somebody that's looking up Grand Theft Auto. Now, here's the thing. If you're somebody my age, you probably are not going to click the links that I'm going to talk about. But let's say that you're a kid, for instance, right? You're scrolling down, yada, 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 yada. You see all these uploads. You're trying to figure out what you want to get. Now, eventually you come across one advertisement here, right underneath Asmongold's video, where it says Grand Theft Auto Mobile. Download GTA Mobile. Sponsored. So you know that this is a sponsored video. You know that there might have been some involvement into YouTube's ad engine. So you're like, whoa, this seems kind of legit. Let me maybe watch this. So if you go to the watch page over here, you'll find that it is literally just a 15-second clip of this one person playing around with GTA San Andreas on their Android device. Now, of course, if I scroll down, this is an unlisted video that has 1.1 million views. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily ultra view botted, but obviously, if this is all built around the advertisement engine, clearly it's doing a good enough job when over 1 million people have watched this. Now, this is part of what I believe to be an actual advertisement, and the advertisement it leads to is an entire page right here known as APK Hoo-Hoo. Now, I wasn't able to access it because I actually have a network ad blocker, but I turned it off briefly just to show you guys what this page necessarily looks like. Now, APK Hoo-Hoo drops me off onto this page right over here, where again, I can download GTA. Now, I see this verified. I see a whole bunch of, things on the side. And of course, if I go down to the actual download section, it will actually just link to GTA Vice City on like the Play stores or the iOS store, respectively, depending on what platform you're on. But let's say that you're a kid. You're like, all right, well, this is just GTA, but let me go to APK Hoo-Hoo for a minute. Well, all of a sudden, you have now been given so much extra software and the potentiality to install that on your actual Android smartphone. Now, if you're on an iPhone, you may not be able to install some of this stuff, but let's say you're like a kid, right? Let's say you just want to download one of the most popular games right now. One of the most popular games is shit like Nice in My Room or My Bully is My Lover. So this My Bully is My Lover got uploaded, and the thing about it is nowhere in this list did they say shit about this game being a fucking, like, adult game. This user known as Ni-chan. Now, obviously, if I show you about this game, it is an 18-plus experience, okay? This is an 18-plus game. It's a fucking adult game that is just being distributed. So you're like a kid, you're minding your own business, YouTube ads push you down a rabbit hole of free Grand Theft Auto, and now you're gooning off of an APK you downloaded on this platform. That is the level of butterfly effect that we're kind of talking about with this shit, okay? So obviously, the moment you go down into it and you download something, it's like your connection is not private. Again, trust me, I'm doing what I have to be careful here, all right? But I do not recommend you ever engage with it. It'll give you an APK to download, and people will launch this, and it could contain absolute malware that will absolutely destroy your personal right to privacy on your device, all because I guess you wanted to play a goon-heavy game. Now, honestly, the reason why I'm making this video is that I'm genuinely really tired of constantly seeing this FBI warning every single time I open up my news application in the morning. And I feel like the thing is, it's a battle of attrition. How many people are falling for this so much that it needs to constantly be reminded to people, right? And then, of course, the black pill that really hits me is that, yeah, most of my audience, like you guys watching, probably are going to be relatively safe and understanding. I'm sure you watch like-minded channels that tell you the same thing, and I'm sure that there is a degree of common sense I've built into people. But let's say you're older, you're a kid, you're somebody that isn't versed in computers, and you're just somebody browsing the internet. And if you're not using things like ad blocks to stop malvertising, if you're not basically having the little bit of common sense, the amount of people that have actually been impacted in this is probably astronomically insane. There's a reason why the FBI treats this shit so seriously, and there's millions, if not billions, every year that is stolen from online scams every fucking day. And honestly, I wish in a perfect world it could stop. But to be fair, I feel like sometimes it's just important to tell people the most important way to keep yourself safe on the fucking wild west that is the internet is just have common sense, a basic ad blocker, and the ability for you to not download every plugin you see while watching an episode of Severance without a subscription to Apple TV Plus. Ultimately, it is what it is. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. This video is cathartic to me. I laugh and have fun making it. And ultimately, I hope that in amongst all the laughs, you might be able to learn something. You might figure out how these things work and better be able to protect not just yourself, but the people around you. Okay? You are the vigilante ad block for the rest of your family that hasn't even discovered this beautiful technology yet. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.